Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ash Paulson to give our thoughts on the Pokémon Direct that revealed Pokkén Tournament DX, Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and Pokémon Gold and Silver for the 3DS Virtual Console. So let's get started. Alright Ash, so 8 minutes of Pokémon Direct, and we got 3 announcements, and I mean, what'd you think?
Well, man, I'm seeing stars. Well, actually, I'm not seeing stars, which may be the whole problem. You know, I mean, this is one of those moments where I think that, you know, the Wii U faithful are just going to have to take a step back and take a deep breath and be like, you know what, this game, meaning Pokken Tournament Deluxe, isn't meant for us as much. It's meant for the millions of people who never had a Wii U and who never got to play Pokken Tournament. So when you look at it from that angle, I get it, but it's still obviously a little disappointing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with Pokken Tournament first. We'll build our way up to the bigger stuff.
Sure.
So, with Pokken Tournament, I'm not upset about this at all. It seemed like the writing was on the wall so much for this one, and I think everybody expected it, especially because all these other characters came to the arcade version in Japan, and we never got a whisper of it happening on the Wii U. And honestly, as somebody that enjoyed Pokken, I kind of appreciate that they didn't go the Mario Kart 8 route. Now, granted, Mario Kart 8 came out a lot sooner than Pokken Tournament, but still, the fact that they didn't charge that DLC and they just waited for basically a complete version on the Switch. So I'm not as upset, especially since we also got a surprise reveal of a brand new character in the form of Decidueye. Yeah. So I think that helps lessen the blow. Like, we have 5 new characters to try out in this game, and I think that makes it pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think having Decidueye as a completely new character that wasn't even in the arcade version prior to this is a big draw. I do like that. I actually did get some comments on Twitter from Wii U owners who were actually upset that these 4 characters were not released as DLC for the Wii U version. So I guess you can look at it both ways, but I do see your approach, Derek, where, you know, it's nice that you're not basically having to double dip for 4 characters you already bought back on the Wii U, just, you know, with Mario, like you were mentioning with Mario Kart 8. So I can see it both ways. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best person to ask about Pokken Tournament Deluxe, because while I am looking at it from the perspective of having owned a Wii U and understanding this is not necessarily for me as much, I didn't get as much out of Pokken as you did. So this feels, I mean, I was terrible at it, and I just didn't quite, like, I played it for a while, but I didn't really get into it and really, you know, get a lot of longevity out of it. And I don't see myself going out of my way to pick up Pokken Tournament Deluxe. Like, I do like some of the new features that they're adding. I like Decidueye. I think that's cool. But, you know, I'm not the hardcore Pokemon fan this is for, so it's natural that my excitement's going to be a little muted.
Yeah, and I understand that as well, because the thing with Pokken Tournament, then I enjoyed what I played with it, but I also put it down pretty quickly. Like, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. The arcade mode was way too long and way too repetitious with how many Pokemon you were fighting over and over and over again, and that may be alleviated with 5 new characters, but I can still see it with, as long as that was, it's going to take a while. It's still going to wear you down, and I think that's the major problem. I hope there's a lot of UI fixes, because it was a pain in the butt to change your Pokemon in single player. There's just a lot of things that it made it a bit of a pain to do, but the thing is, the core fighting in the game was really fun. I had a great time learning the ins and outs of that game. I actually felt like I could do pretty well with Braixen, and apparently Braixen's considered a broken character, so go figure. So apparently all my skill is null and void, so there you go.
Right.
Let's be honest, I'm going to be the one to end up reviewing this again.
Right. You know, toward that end, I will say some of these new features are interesting to me, like Team Battle Mode. I like the idea that you can actually pick 3 different Pokemon from the roster and fight with all of them in the same match. Like, that seems like kind of a cool way to transplant what is already a thing in the core Pokemon games and kind of translate it into what would be really fun for a fighting game, too. So, and like daily challenges and things like that. Like, it does seem like they're making serious efforts to, you know, toward making this truly a deluxe version and not just the Wii U version with, like, Decidueye and the arcade characters. Like, it does seem like they are adding quite a bit more to this game.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 new support Pokemon in the form of Litten and Poplio that Nintendo announced is coming to the game as well. And they They talked about the online, so that should be fun. And one of the things I'm actually really interested in, and actually might keep me coming back, is daily challenges. That's a cool way to keep people coming back and sort of, well, challenging them.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the draw would be, though, because typically daily challenges at least reward you with something. Like in Street Fighter V, they reward you with fight money, which you use to, buy DLC without actually spending real money. Now, clearly that's not going to happen here in Pokken Tournament, so I do wonder if they're going to offer some sort of other in-game unlockable that'll keep you wanting to complete those daily challenges.
Oh, there already is. The outfits for your player character.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Yeah, they have all that stuff. And who knows, maybe they'll add more options for your character as well, because there was a ton in there, and they took a while to unlock. Like, I never did get all of them, I think. It's definitely takes a while, just because there's so many colors and styles and everything else. So I could see that as a way, or maybe just offering different clothes based on challenges you beat or something like that. I think there's a lot of potential here, and it definitely helps that it's a lot easier to do multiplayer now, because before you actually had one person on the Wii U and the other person on that. So there's some definite hurdles to be here. I'm not sure if this is the most exciting announcement in all. I think people are hoping for something a little bit different, but for what it is, at least with these 5 new characters, we sort of round out the roster a little bit more, because it was ridiculous how, despite that small roster, we had 2 Pikachus and 2 Mewtwo's.
When we could have had one of those Pikachus be Halucha, which still is going to bother me until the day I die, because you actually have a wrestler Pokemon.
Yep.
Why would you not use it?
Because I guess he's not as marketable as Pikachu, which is wrong. It's just so wrong.
Yeah.
Mewtwo I kind of get, and he's sort of story-focused.
I mean, and I get it with Pikachu too, but it's just like, it's annoying, because I love Pikachu as much as the next guy, but, give me a Pikachu and an actual wrestler, but obviously the marketing potential for Pikachu is off the charts, so I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense, and...
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, like I said, there's not too much else to say about Pokkén Tournament Deluxe, although... It does seem like any time we get a Wii U to Switch port, it's going to have the Deluxe moniker.
It does. It's starting to make me think or wonder if Smash is just going to be called Smash Deluxe, which I would be okay with, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But, on that note, though, the fact that Pokken Tournament Deluxe just got announced in advance of E3, and Nintendo just announced or added it to their playable lineup, this kind of solidifies my idea that, they got Pokken, they've got ARMS, they've got Splatoon 2. I don't think we're gonna be seeing Smash at E3, and I only bring that up in this discussion because I think Pokken being another fighting game actually does affect that. But I kind of think that that's what we're gonna be seeing at E3 this year in terms of fighting games from Nintendo.
That's hard to say. I don't want to write it off completely yet. I'm not ready to do that.
Sure. I'm not going to say that, maybe we'll see something of it in the direct presentation they're doing, whatever, the digital event, whatever they're calling it. But I don't think we'll see it playable on the show floor. I think that's going to be reserved for ARMS and Pokken Tournament.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. With September, we're likely going to have, we have Pokken Tournament.
Yeah.
Probably going to have Fire Emblem Warriors somewhere in between, like September or October, who knows. They have a pretty full lineup for this year, so I can see
it's
them
looking pretty crowded already. I can see it being a spring game at this point easily.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense to just start. How do you want to start it? 2018 strong. Bring out Smash.
Right, that's a way to do it.
So I would not expect it fully. I mean, we might get a hint of it, but there's no way it's coming 2017.
Right, that's kind of what that's the gist I'm getting to.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, another game's coming out the same day as Pokémon Tournament DX, which is September 22nd, and that is the Pokemon Gold and Silver for the 3DS Virtual Console, which a lot of people have been begging for ever since Red, Blue, and Yellow came to the Virtual Console. And so that was a nice unexpected surprise. Like, I had kind of written that off.
Yeah, that's a nice surprise. I am a little also surprised that we're not seeing Pokemon Crystal as well, because we got Red, Blue, and Yellow all on the same day before with Generation 1, so I thought it would go to follow that would get Crystal as well, but apparently, no, this time it's just Gold and Silver, which is still exciting in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, I did do that Nuzlocke last year for Pokemon Crystal, and...
God, you did.
Yeah,
right.
And I got to experience that for the first time, and there's really not that many changes to it, other than, you can pick a female protagonist, and you get the whole Suicune thing. it's not it's not as much of an upgrade as later third-party titles.
Maybe even Yellow was too, to Red and Blue.
Well, even Yellow definitely changed things up just by the fact of your starter was so different.
Sure.
And otherwise, it was also pretty much the same. So, I don't mind it so much. It is unfortunate. Maybe it's because Crystal was fully designed for the color, Game Boy Color, rather than just Game Boy, with Gold and Silver having color options,
Although that shouldn't matter, because there are certain other Game Boy Color games, emulated on the 3DS Virtual Console, such as Link's Awakening Deluxe and the original Shantae. So you wouldn't think that would matter, but who knows? That could be it.
Yeah, it's so hard to say for sure, but I mean, it's exciting for those who've been wanting to re-experience it and have a nice, clear way to play it on their DS. So that's really cool, and of course, it's compatible with the Pokemon Bank, so now you have a really easy way to get more Totodiles, Cyndaquils, and Chikoritas.
Yeah, and there's also the time capsule feature, which lets you link trade Pokemon at the in-game Pokemon centers between the Virtual Console versions of Red and Blue and Gold and Silver. So I thought that was cool, or Red, Blue, and Yellow, I should say.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of smart things, and it's definitely good to see. It really does go to show how much they are supporting the 3DS this year. Just the sheer fact that they have all these Pokemon games coming to it. But before we move on to the big one, I did want to mention how it was very interesting how... did you notice that the version of the 3DS they had next to the Virtual Console releases and all that they were in the pictures and whatnot was the new 2DS XL?
I actually didn't notice that. I was furiously live tweeting, so I did not notice that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it looks like from now on we're going to see a really big push for the new 2DS XL, which makes sense, especially because
it makes complete sense.
Budget sense, yeah. So all works out. But let's go ahead and get to the big one for this reveal, and probably what we're going to spend the most time on: Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. What did you think when they actually showed this off?
I thought, well, that's not Pokemon Stars, or maybe it is. So, I thought that, well, those names kind of suck. I don't like those names at all. Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun. I don't know. I guess I've grown accustomed to more interesting naming schema from Pokemon, so the name's not doing much for me, but it seems like it's almost like a callback to Black 2 and White 2, where you have, like, a new story or a new-ish story in the same region. So that's kind of cool that we're seeing a return to that form. I like Gen 5, and I thought it was cool getting an all-new story in that same region, back then. So I don't know if I'd actually have time to play Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because I never even finished the original Sun and Moon, or I should say Moon. So that's the problem, is like it's just another game to add to my backlog, and I don't think I'd exactly be breaking down the door to replay Pokemon Sun and Moon again, or replay Gen 7 again with a... we don't know how new the story is, but this just wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, I guess.
No, a lot of people were really hoping for Gen 4 remakes, getting a remake of Diamond and Pearl.
Right.
And I get that. I understand the need for it, but for whatever reason, I did not see them going immediately to it. It felt too soon. Like, Oros had just happened. I feel like it needed to have a little bit more time in the oven before they got to Gen 4 and had all those changes and whatnot. And as far as the naming, I know that I might not be a fan of the naming convention, especially since they're both the same. It's a little different from Omega and Alpha, or Heart and Soul, but it's also because it's following the convention of Black and White 2. It just doesn't. It doesn't have a 2 because these aren't sequels. And Ultra also makes sense because, well, we have the Ultra Beasts, and so that's a major factor here. And it makes, to me, it may not be the most attractive name, but it makes a lot of sense based on the storyline. It actually fits everything pretty well, because Heart and Soul never really like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
No, it's true. Like, I didn't, when I initially didn't like those names, and I still don't like the way they sound, but yeah, when I thought about the fact that they're Ultra Beasts, and that's exactly why they're using the name Ultra, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Doesn't exactly sound all that cool, but I get why they're going with that name.
I feel like we're back in the 90s with the Ultra label, or I guess we have to go extreme for that.
I know, right? I like alliteration myself, so if Ultra Beasts weren't a thing, I would have been like, oh, let's do Super Sun and Mega Moon or something, just get that alliteration in there. But no, we've got Ultra Beasts, so So I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense. And the funny thing is it's very reminiscent of Black and White 2, like you'd said. But I also don't think these are sequels. Like, I was really pushing hard. Like, my hopes for Stars was that it was going to be a sequel in the same vein as Black and White 2, which is technically what I got. But it doesn't seem to be a continuation of the story or like, here's what happened 2 years later sort of thing for Sun and Moon. Instead, as they said during the trailer, this is an alternate take. So it's almost like Clue, where this is one way it could have happened, or it could happen like this. So that seems to be what we're getting, and I kind of get it, because they'll, with having both Sun and Moon versions, they'll once again be able to have the whole day and night cycle that they had for the first games as well.
Right.
So I can see it going this way rather than a full third version, because otherwise this does feel like a third version of past titles where it's more of a remix than anything else.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's great for super hardcore fans who have the time and desire to play through the same generation, multiple times. But I feel like for the rest of us, if this isn't, like a full sequel with a completely new story, the draw is maybe intrinsically a little lower for more casual Pokemon fans, or for fans who love the series but just don't have as much time as they'd like.
Yeah, and I've run into those issues before. It's, it's so hard to go back into it and restart again, because there's like, what's new, and that's going to be the big thing here, is to show what is new about it, what changes have they made. They showed a little bit, and I haven't taken a super close look because of I still need to do the analysis. That's what I'm going to be doing after this discussion is over.
Yeah, I know.
But that thing is, it's mostly going to be trying to spot the differences, and I've already spotted a few. Like, your main character's outfits are different this time around. There's some changes to the house. The Wii U's been replaced by the Switch, which I did an update about just as a sort of fun thing. And just other things here and there. It does seem like changes have been made. Things are different, and we could actually still see some pretty big differences, because we still have those empty lots from Sun and Moon that never were explained. Nothing happened to them. So I always expected like time to pass and something to happen there, but maybe in this alternate story there's something that's actually going on there this time. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this alternate take, on the story is what it would have been like had there already been a Pokemon League established on Alola. Like, maybe that's the angle they're taking, and those empty lots will now be gyms. Maybe they're going a little deeper with this than we realize. But until we know more, it's going to be hard to say. It is really up in the air, and I don't know. I can't say I'm excited for it. That's the thing. Yeah. I did not get hyped for this the same way I got hyped for other things, and I kind of knew that going in. I had a feeling I wasn't going to, unless they did something crazy, like during the predictions discussion where Joe Merrick suggested a Red and Blue sequel, or Red and Green sequel, and show how Kanto has changed over the years. That would legitimately excite me. Diamond Pearl, that'd be kind of cool. This, again, falls in the same line of, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of how I'm feeling too. Like, it's just, I find it very difficult to get hyped for this, and I know there is a certain contingency of fans who are very excited, and that's great. But personally speaking, it's just not exactly what I was looking for the next Pokemon game. And of course, I'll be following it, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what new Pokemon they add, and just how much it actually differs. But I don't know if it would be enough to get me to restart Gen 7 when I could just as easily continue my Pokemon Moon file and just finish that. And I mean, yes, there's the alternate storyline, but again, we don't really know how deep that goes, and I'm not prepared to replay Generation just for an alternate take on a story that, I mean, it's a fun story, but let's be honest, it's not like, Pokemon Sun and Moon has the most amazing tale ever. It's a fun story, but I don't need to go see an alternate take on it either. It's a step up as far as presentations compared to past Pokemon games, but it's, it's not incredible, but we're getting getting close to what a normal RPG would be like as far as storytelling. Exactly. But the other thing is, and another connection to Black and White 2, is the new appearance of Solgaleo and Lunala, where they have all this
black stuff attached to them, giving them sort of an alternate form. And as many people have rightly pointed out, there's no way that's not Necrozma.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, right? I mean, and I didn't even, for full clarity, I actually did not finish Pokemon Sun and Moon, but I am aware of Necrozma or Necrozma, however you say it. And you showed me a picture of it just before we did this discussion, just to make sure I knew. And yeah, that absolutely has to be Solgaleo and Lunala somehow fused with Necrozma, in some way. It looks so obvious.
Yeah, it really does. So, I mean, it makes sense. They usually get that third legendary involved in some way, and according to his Pokedex entries, he does have some kind of relation to the Ultra Beast, and its source of energy is light. So there is ways that they could have him involved in this with those connections, and maybe he's almost a parasite, or it could be the DNA splicer again, for like with Black and White 2, where you could combine the forms and have these different ones. It's hard to say. It could be interesting, but I'm not expecting, again, a huge, mind-blowing story for this. It just could be a fun way of adding it in,
Exactly.
As far as the forms themselves, I mean, they look a little silly just because of all the black stuff attached to them, but
yeah.
But overall, it's not too bad. I don't mind them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say... I was thinking that. They're not the most imaginative designs I've ever seen, especially for legendaries. If what we're seeing is a new form of Sun and Moon's legendaries, or I don't know if they're different forms or entirely new Pokemon or how they will categorize them, but they're not very imaginative. And I mean, it really does seem like they literally just kind of mashed Necrozma and Solgaleo or Lunala together.
Yeah, it's definitely not as smooth as the Black and White 2 legendaries, and I'm blanking on their names, and that's why I'm not saying them, so I apologize for that.
No worries.
It felt like those designs were more complete with those forms. It really just seems like Necrozma was attached to him, which is why I'm going for more of a parasitic angle for that, where he's like literally sucking the light from them and is taking over their bodies because of that. But it's, that's just me fan theorizing at that point, so I don't want to say anything too conclusive until I can take a good look at it for the analysis and then go nuts.
Totally.
But the other major thing isn't even related to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon directly itself. It's more about the fact that this is not on the Switch. This is a 3DS exclusive title. At least it seems to be, because there have been people have noticed that there was a press on the press site that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were listed as to be announced for the Switch, which got people thinking, "Ooh, was this a mistake?" Because they quickly took it down. However, a official statement from the Pokemon Company International has been issued, and in it they say, "We would like to address rumors based on the clerical error on the Pokemon press site. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, are coming exclusively to the 3DS family of systems and are not due for release on the Nintendo Switch. This listing on the Pokemon press site was made in error and is not indicative of future plans. Please refer to the Pokémon Direct for more game details." So that's it. That seems to be complete declaration that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are not coming to the Switch, as many people thought and hoped, and we saw that for the stars. This is going to be 3DS exclusive, and I can't say I'm too surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I can't either. At the same time, though, there's something, I don't know, there's some little instinct in me that is not ready to give up on the idea of Pokemon Stars. I just have a feeling that there's something they're not telling us here. I mean, I fully believe that statement is true. Mm-hmm. I believe that Pokemon Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun are exclusive to the 3DS family of systems. I don't think they're lying there, but I think it's a very careful lie. I think it's very carefully worded, because I have a feeling, and of course this is based on nothing but my own speculation, and of course all the educated rumors that Stars was a real thing for Switch, but I have a feeling that we are maybe still going to get a third version of this game on Switch, and maybe it'll be like Ultra something else, or called something else, Pokemon, I don't know, but I just kind of have a feeling that this isn't the full story. I think they're holding something back.
I could definitely see that point of view where, they do have something planned for the Switch, and they're just making a third version that has all this stuff, and is a way for just Switch people to just jump right into it, rather than if they don't have a 3DS and don't have to worry about all that stuff. An easier way to jump into the series than anything else. I could see it making sense. But as somebody who has analyzed stuff from the Pokemon Company again and again, it's so easy to see clues and hints and tie-ins everywhere. Like, people were so convinced that Diamond and Pearl were going to be a thing because of the appearance of Popplio and Lucario in the new Pokemon movie.
Oh yeah,
it's and you know, I'll point it out again. My whole alchemy theory that came out of the pre-release for Sun and Moon. It is so easy to read deeply into Pokemon stuff and what they could do and what we are aware of. But this is the Pokemon Company. They play by their own rules. So I don't want to say, like, I kind of have that inkling with you, Ash. I really do. But I'm bearing it because there's no way it's going to happen. In my mind, not until next year, when the 3DS is well and truly dead, if Nintendo decides not to support it past 2017, I would totally see a Pokemon Switch game. But right now...
Well, and that actually feeds back into why I think they're maybe holding something back, because as you were saying earlier when we were talking about Smash, the Switch's year one release schedule is already starting to get pretty packed. So it would make sense then that they wouldn't want to blow the big ultimate version, let's just say it's real, a big final version of Gen 7 on Switch in year one. They would want to hold that back for year two, and it would take longer for them to make because of higher definition visuals, obviously not full HD, but better graphics, and for all 700 plus or 800 plus, Pokemon character models. So there are reasons to think it's possible that they are holding a potential Switch version of this game back for a future announcement. But everything you just said too, it is so easy to read into something that isn't there, and it's not it isn't incumbent. This is important to remember too. It is not incumbent upon Nintendo or the Pokemon Company to confirm anything that has been leaked, whether it's real or not. I mean, this isn't whether Pokemon Stars was or was not real. It isn't Nintendo's fault that they didn't announce it today. They didn't owe that to anybody or Pokemon Company. So, that's just kind of what you have to remember when you're dealing with leaks. They may or may not be accurate, but either way, they may not come true or be confirmed when you want them to be.
I mean, I can still totally see Stars as a code name for something. That sort of thing.
Totally.
But you want to have a good second year for the Switch, Pokemon and Smash. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. But as far as what the subject matter would be, maybe that's where you put your Diamond and Pearl remakes, because I can't see them having a third adventure in Alola again.
No. I mean, I think if they do release anything else Alola related, it would be like an Ultimate Switch version. I think after Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, if they do anything else Alola related, it would have to be on Switch. Beyond that, if they're doing another 3DS one, let's say, then I would think that would have to be Gen 4 remakes or something else that's new and not Alola related.
But even for the Switch, I would argue that, because I mean, you could have the Ultimate version, but that means for 3 years in a row we go through this same area. Granted, it's different because of the HD visuals potentially,
right?
But it's still, I've seen this before. Show me something that'll wow me by being. Granted, I've seen Diamond and Pearl before, but it's been I think 11 years since Diamond and Pearl. So there's enough gap there that it will still wow me to see these places in HD visuals.
Yeah, and there's also really the fact that we don't really know how much longer the 3DS is going to be around. I mean, will the 3DS even be a thing, or the 3DS family of systems even be a thing by the time it comes, time to announce a new project? Like, I don't know. I don't know if we would see Gen 4 remakes on the 3DS, just because it's already toward the end of its life, if not at the end of it, and Nintendo's just kind of extending its undeath as long as it can. And so I don't know really how those pieces fit together.
That's a very good question, and I really don't have an answer for you, but it's very interesting to speculate. Like, what we have, there's interesting stuff here or there to talk about, but the speculation on what could be coming, what could have happened, what it could be, I think is where a lot of the debate's going to reign. And we'll see how it all goes down. But as far as Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on their own on the 3DS right now, I'm interested, but I'm not excited. And I think that's the big difference. It's like I'm gonna play it, you know. Again, that's gonna be my review, and I'm not exactly happy with the fact that I have to record off the dang 3DS again because I hate recording off the 3DS. But you know, that's just the way it goes. So yeah, I'll check it out. I'm interested to see what else they have to show for it. What else makes it different? But again, we're still in preliminary mode. Guess what? Now we're in the Pokemon hype cycle. Now we're going to get every month, every 3 weeks, probably something new about this game and what's going to be happening for it. So we're back in the trenches.
Yep, get ready to get really used to saying Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Yeah. Oh, goody.
Yeah.
But, well, any final thoughts, Ash?
Nope, I think that's it.
Alright, well I think that covers it for our Pokemon Direct discussion. So thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.